Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Dear students, we are going to complete what we had started yesterday in our previous lesson, which was the enrichment of the grammar and form meaning functions that we have here in the units. Now we studied or just revised what we had in unit 1 and 2. We are going to complete what we have here in the other two units, which are 3 and 4. So let's start with our units here. What will they think of next? What did we take in the grammar and the form meaning function? Now we studied something about the future perfect. We had also something about the future perfect progressive. Now also we can recall using dependent time clauses. We passed by the simple present tense. We also made information questions. We also formed the sentences using the simple present of the verb be and information questions as well. We also revised or studied actually the simple past of the verb be and be born. And also we just revised very quickly the regular and irregular verbs. Of course, we know that there are different irregular verbs. And also we passed by words that were connected to space and the planetary system. So let's just go back and see what we took here. We studied different structures indicating the future. Now, what did we have here? Now, form sentences that indicate the future. We have different forms here. Now we have the future perfect simple, the future perfect progressive. We had just using the simple will with the base form, which is the future simple. And we have the other future simple, which is using verb to be with the verb going to and the base form as well. Also, we have studied time clauses with the future clause. Now, just to recall what are the examples that we have here, we said, for example, Ahmed himself will have moved. By the time Ahmed moves in his amazing house, they will have accomplished. The AC will have been cooling, and we have the last one, the oven will have been heating. So you can see that we have here the future perfect simple, and we have the future perfect progressive in the other two sentences. Now we showed the difference between the two structures, as we can see. We also studied how to add words that express time here. So we have here when, after, since, before, and until. Now here they all indicate time and they can be added in the sentence. Also we studied that we can use them either in the beginning of the sentence or we can just switch the sentence or rearrange to make them in the middle. We have the structures as we can see here. There was the table. Just to refresh your memories that we showed the difference when to use been in the sentence, when not to use it, when can use a verb to be, and also we have here the time expressions as we mentioned. Yes, now we have here an exercise. Let's start with it. We have here, read the sentences, label the first event and the second event. So what happened first? We are going to label the first one to happen with a red color and the second event to happen with a green color or a green line. I will have finished my dessert by the time the waiter gets me my coffee. So what is the word that indicates time here? We can say the time expression is going to be by the time. So what happened first? Now the first or the second event actually is going to be, we have here the first, I will have finished my dessert, and the second, the waiter gets me my coffee. By the time, this time you can see that it came at the beginning of the sentence. So here we can say that we have here many patients will have died, and the second event, they will find a cure for cancer. Now here you can realize that we have the time expression. It comes usually with the second event to happen. So let's just make sure that we have the other sentences are the same. By 2024, he will have been teaching for 40 years. So we have here the first to happen, he will have been teaching. And the second event is by 2024. So we have here by here is the time expression. Our grandchildren will have grown up by the time people start living. We can see that this is the first event. And the second event, people start living on the moon. By June, I will have graduated. Our first event is going to be graduating, and by June is the second. So yes, you can see that the time expression is usually connected with the second part. Now write the verb in the parentheses in the future perfect or future perfect progressive. So we are going to correct the verb forms that we have here. They release a new model by the time I'm ready to get one. So here just note that we're going to use either the future perfect or the future perfect progressive. Now here we have here they, yes, will have released. Note that you're going to use have in the sentence and will to indicate the future. So this is what makes it future perfect. By the time the baby can walk, he turned 1 year old. Now we have here he will have turned. By the time I have enough money saved, the price of houses go up. So here we can just use will have gone. I work for 3 hours. By the time you are ready to help, I will have been working. By the time the pie is ready, our dinner guests go home. Now we have here will have gone. Now here, it is important to remember that we use the past participle with have with the perfect tense. So you can see we have here released, turned, gone, and gone at the very end. They are all in the past participle. Here we have the verb working with an ing because we have been in the sentence, and this is what makes it the future perfect progressive. Moving on. Now in this part, we are going to use the correct time phrase or the time expression as we mentioned. Now we have here when, before, after, while, until, or since. So we have here sometimes more than one answer is possible. You can either choose one answer, you can, if you chose something that is different, I'm going to show you that we can use up to 3 answers at the same time in some sentences. Now they will stop charging so much money to use the beach, the summer is over. We can say either when the summer is over, or you can say after the summer is over, or you can say since the summer is over. Number 2, blank, they come out with a new cell phone, I will buy one. Now here we have one word, we can say when they come out. He will earn a lot of money, he is smart and hardworking. Now since he is smart and hardworking, you can see that we use different time expressions depending on the meaning of the sentence. Now, number 4, the child will fall asleep. Her mother reads to her. We have here while. And you can say also we have here the word after. So if you answer either ways, it's correct. Medicine will continue advancing. They found cures for everything. Now we have here until they find cures. Here, I buy a new computer. I will do research to be sure I'm getting the best one. I can say we have here before, or I can say when I buy a new computer. So you can see that some answers, they have up to 3 words that can be used. Now complete the sentences in our new task. Use the future with dependent time clauses, the future perfect or the future perfect progressive. So very quickly, now just to remind you that here there is no specific answer. You can answer in the way that you find suitable as long as you are using the correct structure. So we have here by next month, we will have finished the semester. By the time this class ends, my teacher will have taken the attendance. By the time this class ends, I can say I will have done the exercises. I will use this book until we finish the semester. And by 2022, we have here the new project will have started. moving on, we have here the other part, which is going to be the form, meaning, and function of Unit 3. So in the form, meaning, and function, if you recall that we used the past and we compared it also to the present. Now we have here the past simple and the present simple here. We did explain the difference between the two structures. And if you recall here that we made yes-no questions, of course we changed into the structures depending on what is the statement or the answer. We changed the helping verbs and so on. Now just to apply here, make each sentence a yes-no question, then give a short answer. So we have here, my parents both speak English. Here we have plural, my parents. So we can answer the question, do your parents both speak English? Of course, you can answer here either yes, they do, or no, they don't. It depends on what is your answer. And the second sentence we have here, this hotel doesn't have its own website. It changes into, does the hotel have its own website? And of course, we have doesn't as a helping verb that is mentioned. And we have here, it is in negative. So here we can answer, no, it doesn't. My brother and I don't go to the same school. Also, we have here the same sentence has the negative form of do. So I can answer the question, do you and your brother go to the same school? And we can answer also, no, we don't as well. Now we revised the simple past questions with regular and irregular verbs. Of course, you do know that you are going to use did, either they are information questions or yes-no questions. We also revised the idea of using the irregular forms or memorizing, or you can just study them based on their types. We know that some irregular verbs, they change the forms, and some irregular verbs, it is the same form. So you can just divide the irregular verbs here to make it studying easier for you. We had the part about the information questions, and we also studied how to change verb to be into the sentence by simply using is, are, or am, or of course if you have past, was, and were. So we have your I am at school, I am interested in stars, and the sun is a star. And in each sentence, you can see that we formed different information questions. Now, there are different questions that you can apply here. This is just for you to practice with a classmate here. We have, for example, where were you born? Or when did you meet your best friend? Or how did you feel on your first day at English school? So here there are different questions. You must know the difference between each information question here, and you can just exchange the roles. Now we have making questions in the simple past. We're going to just have a very simple task here to do together. How is it going? We have here the answers. Now you can see that if someone asks you how's it going, you can actually ask simply, we have here D, fine, thanks. When's your graduation? From the question when, we know that we are asking for a time. It is in June. What's your last name? We are asking for information, so we have here A. Why? Why is Mr. Jones here? We have here an answer. We can say B. He's here for the online conference. Where is your family from? We have here, we're asking also about a place, so we have here C. We're from Dubai. And the last one, who's that woman over there? We're asking about a person. That's my aunt, which is A. Now we can see that we have a table here just to show you the arrangement of the sentence or the question here. Now you know that first of all you have the question word followed by the auxiliary verb, or as we say the helping verb, followed by the subject, and after the subject there is the main verb, and we have the rest of the sentence if there is left. And of course don't forget to add your question mark. The last part of our form, meaning, and function was to revise the words that were connected or actually are connected with the solar system. So you can see that we studied many words and recalled the meanings of these words throughout the lesson. Now moving to our last unit, which is Unit 4. What did we study in Unit 4? We have the world of TV. Now in the grammar lesson, we can see that we have studied about conjunctions. Now we said that there were two types of conjunctions. We have here either paired conjunctions, we took the 4 types, and we have single conjunctions that we usually use in our sentences like and, but, or, and, yet, for example, or so. Now we did explain also the difference that we have here. The sentences are one complete idea when we use paired conjunctions. So we have here one complete idea, but you join 2 adjectives, 2 verbs, or 2 nouns together. And if the sentences are 2 ideas, we use coordinating conjunctions, which are single conjunctions. Now, just to remind you of the idea of using paired conjunctions, that they are pairs, they are not, they are inseparable. Also, we have here, just to recall the examples, you can use either both and, not only but also, either or, neither nor. So these are paired conjunctions. We have here the single conjunctions as we mentioned before. Yes, now let's just correct the errors in the sentence. Now, after we revised the conjunctions that we have here, let's see. I think the most interesting sci-fi film is either Star Wars nor E.T. What's wrong in this sentence? We can say that we have here the word nor is incorrect. We have here or because the first part was either. Both my brother and my father likes adventure, or sorry, here both my brother and my father likes adventure films. So actually here we are going to, yes, like. So what's the problem here? We are talking about plural here. So likes is incorrect. We have here like adventure film. He loved the exhibition, so we went to see it again. Here we have so went is incorrect. We have to add the pronoun he. Moving on with our exercise. Not only are my grandparents going, but also my aunt are going. So here we can see that are is incorrect. We have here is. In the end, the hero saved the city, but he got the money. So using but here is incorrect as a coordinating conjunction. We have here and. Neither John nor his parents plans to go to graduation. So we have here plans is incorrect. We are using plan instead. Leading us to the documentary was not only popular and also it was, or it won an award. So since we have here not only the sentence, using and is incorrect, we are going to replace it with but. Another task that we have here is to complete each sentence with using a coordinating conjunction. We have here either and, but, or, so, or yet. And sometimes you can use 2 choices. You can use either this one or this one. So we're going to see. We have here the sun was out. We can say yet it was still cold, or we can say but it was still cold. We can study for our English test. We can play video games. We can say that we have here. We can study for our English test, or we can play. I read the detective books. I saw the TV series too. We can say here and I saw. I like dramas. I like comedy shows more. So we have here I like something, but I like something else more. We have here but, or we can say yet. Now, in the second part, which is going to be the final part in our enrichment, we have here the form, meaning, and function. Now, just to recall what we took in our lesson, we had the idea of watching different movies, or we have conversations, and in these conversations we can just compare between them. Of course, the basic idea here was to use adjectives in our comparing. Now we had 3 degrees here, or 3 types of comparisons. We have the comparison degree or the comparative degree. we have the superlative degree and we have the positive degree as we studied in our lesson. Now here I have a table for you ready. We can see that we have the rule, which is comparative, between two, or superlative, more than two, or we have positive, which we see the equal sign, which means that they are the same. Of course, there is going to be the subject. Now, if you have the comparative, you can either use the adjective and add er, than, or if you have a long adjective, to use more, adjective, and then. If you are using the superlative degree, of course, you have the instead of more, instead of than, sorry. You can add either est to the adjective, or to use most or least to the adjective before the adjective. And if you are using the positive degree here, you use the base form of the adjective, but you add as before and after the adjective. Now we had also mentioned something about using these words to add emphasis to the sentence. We can say that we have here different words like a little, slightly, much, a lot, considerably, definitely, and certainly. And with superlatives, we have the expression by far to emphasize as well. Revised irregular adjectives, as we mentioned, irregular verbs. Leading us to this part here, as you can see that we use the form of comparative here, but to show results. Now, if you remember that we said the more you eat, the heavier you get. So there is a result here. If something happens, something else is a result, using the comparative form as we mentioned in our lesson. At the very end, we have here on page number 65, we mentioned words connected with space and the planetary system, but this time specifically it was about the planets. So we revised the names of the planets and we did some kind of comparison between them, of course concerning the number of moons, distance, geographical features, and so on. Now let's just apply this exercise here. We have here, complete the sentence with the correct form of the adjectives in parentheses. Now Mercury is close to the moon than any other planet. We have here, of course, closer because we have than in the sentence. The planet that is blank far from the Earth is Neptune. Here we can say the farthest. We have superlative. Pluto has been called a dwarf planet because it's considerably small than, so we have here, it is easy to just write, we have here smaller. Brad has 3 brothers and old one is an astrophysicist. So we have here, we can say that the oldest one. Being in the anti-gravity simulator made Faisal feel dizzy but he's much better now. Mars is hotter than Jupiter and Saturn, but it is icier than Earth. Flying in the space shuttle was a thrilling experience of his career. So we have here of his career superlative, we have here the most thrilling. But the time he nearly crashed was by far the worst. Now just to note here that we have here the word thrilling. It is an adjective that is spelled thrilling. Okay, so just to make sure that it's not an ing that is added in the sentence. Jupiter has a great number of moons. We have here a greater number of moons, but Saturn has the most impressive ring system. So we have just revised or practiced here using. We have here to write sentences with as and as. Now you can see that we have here different examples. We are going to do the last one together. We have here the original film's plot is intriguing. The plot of the sequel is less intriguing. So we have here the basic idea is to look for the adjective, and if you are going to use the positive degree, don't forget to use as and as twice. So we have here just to see that the plot of the film sequel isn't as intriguing as the original plot. And you can see from the other examples here that we did the same. Now we have reached the end of our unit, which is Unit 4. You can see that we revised paired conjunctions, coordinating conjunctions, and comparatives. We also studied something about superlatives, the positive degree. We used irregular adjectives in sentences. We studied basically the comparative form, and also at the very end we had something related to space and the planetary system, which is the last part of our forming and function part of the units. So this is our enrichment. You have a lot to practice and to study. We have, alhamdulillah, accomplished our unit. I wish you the best. Thank you so much.